We did a couple meetings today. The response was, it's Senator Schumer's fault because Senator Schumer didn't allow the debate on two amendments that Senator Toomey wanted and the Republican caucus wanted. So what we found out that actually happened was Senator Toomer and Senator John Tester agreed on the 2 or 3 amendments, but when they came to the floor to debate it, they brought 10 amendments. So they were offered 2 amendments or none, and the Republicans chose none because they wanted the 10. And so this is just grandstanding, game-playing politics by the Republicans on the backs of veterans' lives. And it's got to stop.
Well, Susan, I applaud you for being there fighting and representing veterans and veterans advocates across the country. Your son-in-law would certainly be proud tonight. Susan, I appreciate you joining us. Also with us, Paul Rykoff, veterans advocate and host of the Independent Americans podcast. In his latest episode, he talks with Montana Senator John Tester, who was also on the Hill with Jon Stewart today. Paul, you have said Jon Stewart has had your back on this the whole way. Do you think his outrage is going to make any difference?
Yes. Sometimes it's the only thing that makes a difference because unfortunately we've been here before. This happened with the 9/11 Zadroga bill, where we had a block from Rand Paul. It happened with Zadroga 2 when we had Rand Paul and Mike Lee. And now it's happening again for veterans dying of cancer with one guy, Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania. And Jon Stewart is like a one-man shame machine. I think the president should give him the Medal of Freedom. I mean, this is the only reason that I'm talking to you on television right now is because Jon Stewart is doing interviews from the Jersey Turnpike. And because Susan, whose son-in-law has already died, is on Capitol Hill. But Jon Stewart is the amplification we need. But why does it have to come to this? Time and time again, we have to put these guys on blast and shame them in front of the entire world. It's ridiculous. It's shameful. It's outrageous. And it's one guy. It's the Republican Party. But let's call out the ringleader here. It's Senator Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania. And if we want to stop this, we want to stop it from happening again, make him famous. Shame him into oblivion. So when he leaves the Senate at the end of this, he can't go into some cushy corporate job and drink champagne while our friends continue to die.
It's not new for Republicans to block Democrats. It's what Mitch McConnell did for 8 years. But in this specific case, how much of a political misfire is it for the GOP, who claims to be the party of law and order, America first?
We'll find out. I mean, it's only going to be a misfire for them if the American people make them pay. You know, I host a show called Independent Americans. I think this moves independent Americans. I think it gets people in toss-up states. I think it gets people to leave the Republican Party that claims to be the party of national security and national defense. This is going to help 1 in 5 living veterans, potentially millions of veterans, all the way back to Vietnam. And look, the Democrats deserve credit for moving this forward, but it's also taken us almost 20 years to get it done. So nobody's really clean here. America should be shamed in general that we've had to be begging for 10, 15 years to get health care over and over again. You know, Stephanie, you and I have been friends for a while. I'm probably going to die from toxin exposures. Either my toxin exposures in Iraq, in Kuwait, or my toxin exposures at 9/11. I hope that I don't die before this bill passes. Many of our friends have already died. There are people on ventilators right now and with oxygen tanks on Capitol Hill. That's the stakes here. This is about the soul of America. And Jon Stewart is like a conscience call for all of us.
Well, I appreciate you leading this fight, and I appreciate you joining us tonight. It is always good to see you, Paul.
Thank you, my friend.